Okay, well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Telo Wednesday educational webinar. Today we have Dr. Chris and Dr. Tina on the line. They have a combined 60 years of experience as naturopathic practitioners. They are internationally renowned educators and speakers, and most importantly, they are the formulators of our incredible products, Turan Serum and Telo. Good morning, Dr. Chris, Dr. Tina.
Good morning, MJ. Good morning, everyone out there in listening land and viewing land.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Good to hear your voice there too, MJ. And today we're going to talk about our age reversing technology. And most companies focus on anti-aging. And how we view anti-aging is it slows the process of aging, helps us with that average lifespan of 80 and to be, pretty healthy. And Telo, our primary focus is age reversing. And we do this with our advanced technologies. So with this, we can reverse imbalances. We can extend life up to a healthy 120 when we're talking about our stem cells and our stem cell pool. And we're going to be talking about that and sharing that today with our technologies. So here we are. Over time, we experience aging, and we experience it through various stressors. And some of these stressors actually accelerate our aging more than others. The key here is over time. So our organs, function, and structure begins to collapse. But, you see it on the left-hand side here. A lot of times we don't even feel anything. And then one day we wake up and we start to feel the pain, or we feel like it's difficult to recover, or we end up with a major imbalance. And the key again with this is it takes time to be able to have this major imbalance typically happen. And when we look at the left-hand side here and you see this great structure, we're young, we're able to maintain it. It takes less maintenance actually because it's a newer building, which allows us to have more energy for different functions. And then again, over time, the building starts to become a little outdated. It becomes a little broken down. Maybe our plumbing or electrical starts to decline in our building. And then next thing you know, on the right-hand side, we are faced with some major imbalances that need some pretty drastic repair. And yet we have the ability to reintroduce some of the nutrients, some of the specific signal molecules as though we were young to rebuild our structure. Dr. Chris, do you have anything that you'd like to add?
Just that, we'll go into more detail through the presentation, but, it starts so simply in the beginning with just a little bit of digestion or elimination or sleep imbalances, and just walk into any, drugstore and you'll see all the over-the-counter remedies for, digestive aids and eliminative aids and sleep aids. And it just gives you a clue where it all starts and then continues to break down from there.
Absolutely. So let's talk about one of the key features of being young, and those are our stem cells. When we're young, we have these available stem cells. As a newborn, 1 in every 10,000 of our cells is available, a stem cell. And what's really important about this is they're like these little construction workers that are in our body, and they're constantly doing repair. They're prevalent in the body, and they're circulating throughout our system. And then what happens is, and this is when we have all those materials that are needed, along with the maintenance crew. So let's call our stem cells our maintenance crew. And this will maintain our building, right? Our structure. And then as we age, as we move through time, as we experience these stressors, by the time we're age 80, 1 in every 2 million of our available stem cells, of our stem cells are available. Think about that. That's, our maintenance crew greatly declines. And that's when we also start to feel or sense these major imbalances. Our building tends to fall apart a little bit more. So how can Telo Youth help reverse this aging process? How can we rebuild our structure?
Well, as you know, Dr. Tina, it's a process, and we're going to focus here on the fertilized tissue extract as the key ingredient, but also it's the release of the stem cells that we've designed in the Telo Youth formula, the ability for the body to manufacture and release stem cells, and then we put in the components of activation. This the Telo Youth formula was built around this very unique and unprecedented formula, the FTE, the fertilized tissue extract. And what you see on the left here is that this Norwegian egg pure fertilized tissue extract starts out in the beginning. The egg is just full of all this nutrient dense components, but it's just like having the alphabet that essentially doesn't mean much of anything, but it's the raw material that has to be composed and spelled out. So in the process with the egg specifically, the chicken egg, is that by the 10th day, all this material available from day one starts to form into words. It's like they're crafted and creates clear instructions and signaling, and this communication can begin. And this is what we capture in this fertilized tissue extract. Before this communication that has evolved over the 10 days is infused into the embryo in order to develop the chick and to develop the organs and the systems, we capture these signals, we capture all these instructions. So now the instructions are there for a new heart, a new liver, lungs, the eyes, the brain, every aspect of the body, not just the organs and tissue, but the systems that the organs and tissue make up. So it's a very powerful process. And what's so fascinating is that the inventor and the formulator of the FTE, Dr. Eskelon from Norway, we got to know him and work with him directly. And it was a great privilege. And we learned just as a child, he was so curious how life could develop outside of the womb. So here you're seeing this egg that's laid by the hen. And inside this shell was everything needed for after the 21st day, life would pop out of it. So after the fertilization, everything that's needed to create life was available inside that egg. And this is what he wanted to study and research. And we had, again, the privilege to work directly with Dr. Eskelon, and we would meet at conferences, and over time, we got to know him so well. He invited us to his home in Norway, and we began to share our combined research. And this really made for the understanding and development of the Telo Youth formula, because not only did we learn what the fertilized tissue extract would do, but also other very key therapeutic ingredients that could be combined with it in order to facilitate this process. Dr. Tina, anything you'd like to add to that?
Thank you. Yes, the bioactive peptides, signal molecules, these signal molecules that Dr. Chris was talking about, it's so interesting that this is the egg white. So we capture at just around 10 days, we capture that egg white. And those instructions, the way that we process this and the way that they're highly concentrated, the way we process is so unique that we do not denature these signal molecules. Once we reintroduce them back into our body, then you start to see that we're not going to create another heart or another liver, but if there's any imbalances in those areas, those signal molecules have the ability to go to those various areas within our own physical body and do the reverse aging. So that's where we're seeing this incredible stem cell activation through the Norwegian pure FTE.
So true, Dr. Tina. And here's somewhat of an example or a metaphor to kind of put it all together, because as we age, just as you said, we're not going to make another heart or another lung or liver, but we're going to facilitate the depletion that occurs with aging. So this is really a simple example, but with accelerated aging, you see that there's these depletions that happen. So the words that communicate, or the instructions that allow the heart to regenerate or repair, or the lungs or the brain and the kidneys, it's all a matter of making that the communication available as if we were young again. And that's what the FTE does. It replaces those missing components for the regeneration and the rejuvenation. So in this example here, on the left, you see where the letters A, E, and U are missing from the words, and all of a sudden you have a hard time understanding or reading what those words would mean and what they represent. So when we're able to regenerate or replace those instructions for the repair and the regeneration, you see this wonderful result happen with the communication happening again. So our body has multiple backup systems, and it's truly miraculous and dynamic. But as we age, we lose these backup systems. So what we're doing with Telo Youth is we're reestablishing, we're making available once again the ability for the body to rejuvenate and regenerate. Dr.
Yeah, yes, thank you. And I'd like to talk a little bit about this beautiful woman here in the program that she actually engaged in here with Telo Youth. So on day one, and by the way, these photos are untouched, and she was not using our Surion skin serum. She was using our Telo Youth, taking this internally. And she was experiencing on day one over here on the left, she had depression, low energy, and knee pain. By day 90, all of that had dissipated. And look at the rejuvenation of her skin. Just, you can even see there's just more energy and vitality and the lifting of the skin. She did nothing else but taking our Telo Youth. So I just wanted to help people understand what she was doing and why by day 1 and day 90 she was so different.
So true. You're building the collagen from inside out. This is the structure that holds all the cells together. The collagen is what gives the tissue integrity. All the systems and organs start to work better. Vision's better, digestion's better, hearing, everything is impacted and benefited from this regeneration that happens throughout the body.
Exactly, and it's so multidimensional that your emotions will come back into balance with neurotransmitters coming back into balance. I mean, there's just the so many different things. And the interesting thing about this is we don't get to tell the body where Telo Youth needs to go and work. So it's something that the body will prioritize on its own. So let's talk a little bit about the program. So we have a rejuvenation program. We call this our age reversing technology program. And you can actually reverse your age 10 years. You can look, you can feel, you can have the energy of someone that's 10 years younger in your same body. It takes about 6 months. When you look to the period, it takes about 6 months plus. Your daily intake amount is 6 to 8 in the morning and 6 to 8 before dinner or before sleep. The reason why we say before dinner or before sleep is a couple of things. Before dinner, if you are doing intermittent fasting, you want to go ahead and take them 30 minutes before dinner. If you get too energized by taking Telo Youth, sometimes you won't go to sleep very well at night. So If you are able to sleep and it helps you sleep better at night, then you would move it to before sleep. This is going to be about 3 to 4 bottles a month, and it's a 6-month plus period, depending on your diet, depending on your lifestyle, how much water are you drinking, all of those things are going to matter. Then we have our wellness program. And our wellness program is, if you're looking for deep sleep and energy and your skin to change, it takes about 3 months. And this is where you're going to take 2 to 4 in the morning and 2 to 4 before dinner or before bedtime. And this is going to average about 1 to 2 bottles a month. Also, there's going to be pain and you're going to have some longevity. You'll feel, younger as well. So you have the option to work with either one of these programs. And we tell people you can start with one and go to the other. If you want to start with the wellness program and then all of a sudden you want to increase and move to the rejuvenation program, it's very flexible. It all depends on you and where you're going with your own physical body. So we have some tips that we want to make sure people understand that. There's this thing that's called retracing. Retracing is when you take something really good for your body, but you start to feel less energy or fatigue, and we'll go into some of those on the next slide. But retracing is your body repairing itself, and sometimes it doesn't feel that great. But 80% of the retracing will pass by within about 7 days when you're engaged in one of these programs. So we just tell people, embrace it, allow yourself to rebuild, stay in peace, stay in gratitude, and just know that your body is going to have more vitality after it works through the retracing. Not everybody goes through retracing. However, a lot of people go through the retracing because we have a very toxic world that we live in, and there are just things that our body needs to eliminate that have actually made our liver toxic or kidneys or whatever, and we need to move those through the body. Now, if the retracing continues for more than a week and it disrupts your daily life, you can just adjust the amount. You can reduce it, and that will help you. If you don't feel anything when you engage in one of these programs, you can increase the amount until you feel something. So, for instance, we'll have somebody that will say, I want to do the rejuvenation program, but I don't know if I really want to start with 6 or 8. Can I start with 2 or 3 or 4? Yes, absolutely. You can work your way up. Your body is the barometer. Your body is going to be the feedback mechanism that tells you this is too strong. I'm getting headaches, or it's too strong. I have no energy, because your body is rebuilding. So you can adjust it to however it works with you. And if you have acute trauma or an injury, you can increase the intake amount. Example, let's say that you have a cut, or you have a bruise, or you end up with food poisoning, or you go through a major surgery, or you have broken bones. You can increase that intake amount because it will help you get through the healing process at a much faster pace. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add here?
No, I think it's very well said, and we'll just continue to define some of those symptoms on the next slide here.
Great. So what are they? There's going to be some detoxification that can possibly happen. What do? Drink more water. Allow yourself to flush those toxins out and make sure it's good, pure, clean water. You may experience some headaches. You may have some cold or flu-like symptoms. If your digestion and elimination is imbalanced, you could definitely have some gas or bloatedness because your gut is rebalancing. You could feel fatigued. There could be some strange pains or excessive thirst. One of the things we find with at least 85 to 90% of people is they become really thirsty, and they need that extra water because your cells are regenerating. And as we age, we become very dehydrated. And that's when our skin sags. That's when our organs become unhealthy. So once we start rejuvenating, we have to remember that we need to have that excess water. You could end up with a skin rash. And the reason being is if you're detoxifying and your liver or your elimination processes, your natural elimination processes aren't moving the toxins through, they're going to have an emergency exit. And that's going to exit through the skin. And that's when you're going to sense a rash. You're going to see a rash. You could have the constipation or runny stools. You can have an old injury flare up. We see this a lot, especially with athletes. They may have a knee injury that they experienced 30 years ago. All of a sudden, they're going, wait a minute, how come my knee is experiencing some strange pains right now? And that's typically because as the nerves are regenerating, you're going to feel, and the energy is moving back into that area. As it's regenerating, it's going to just feel a little strange, a little crampy. Don't worry about it. It's not getting worse. It's getting better. And then there's the emotional retracing. The big thing here is this. You may feel some anger. You may feel some grief or sadness while you're going through your retracing. This is that part where we say, allow yourself some space to be able to go through that process with grace and ease as much as you possibly can, because those suppressed energies, the emotions, will want to move up and out of the organs as they regenerate. And you might have some old memories come back, or people that you didn't think of for years that could be related to that. And the other piece is having those emotions will tend to work through some of your strange dreams as well. It's all normal. This is all part of the process. I wish we could wave a magic wand and not have to go through this, but our bodies function in a way that we have to honor through this, this whole retracing piece. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add here?
Yes, I'd like to just emphasize that this is something that the body's intelligence, its wisdom goes through. And a lot of times as practitioners, we'll get questions that say, well, wait a minute, my elimination was fine, but then all of a sudden I started your formula and I got constipated. How could that be if it's helping me? Well, we don't realize that the intestines could be inflamed, and when the digested foods come through, that inflammation stimulates the elimination rather than just having a natural peristalsis, the muscle movement that happens with the intestines. So as the formula reduces the inflammation, heals the inflamed tissue, then that muscle integrity has to be rebuilt and repaired. The flora, the microbiome has to get rebuilt on healthy tissue now that isn't inflamed. So it's a whole different integrity that's there. And this is just one example of one system or one part of the body that goes through this process, and why you have this unwinding, and we call it the retracing process that happens. So it's just important to understand that this works from day one, and it's causing the regeneration and rejuvenation that you're looking for.
Yes, thank you. And everyone experiences it differently, don't they? I mean, nobody has the same type of retracing. So it's very unique to the individual. And of course, your health and your wellness journey is going to reflect what you're going to experience with your retracing. And the other piece of this is this: if you really do support the retracing process with good, clean, healthy foods, keep away from processed foods, keep away from sugar, keep away from bad fats, you will have a much easier time going through the retracing.
Here once again, we just have a slide on the program itself. And when we say 10 years of rejuvenation, this is a reality, because we actually see the changes in the tissue integrity that reflect that. And remember, as Dr. Tina said earlier, the body doesn't break down overnight. It takes time. And that process to regenerate and rejuvenate also takes time, but it's so much faster than what we could even imagine, just changing lifestyle or taking just the proper nutrition. It's a regeneration and rejuvenation that has to happen. And so organs and systems rebuild and repair at different time frames. So you'll see the blood and lymph, the transport system of the body that carries the oxygen and the nutrients and eliminates the waste and focuses on the immune response. This can take anywhere from 30 to 90 days, but when you're rebuilding organs, you know, the kidneys and liver take 6 to 9 months, and the harder tissue, the structural components, the tendons and ligaments and bones, you know, take years. So 1, 2, 3 years to regenerate and repair. So this is why we say, give it some time, be patient, and appreciate your body for its miraculous ability to regenerate when it has these wonderful communication molecules. So if you look at the program, you know, look for changes in sleep and your moods. You know, this starts from the first day for almost 50% of our clients. And then, you know, after a month, you see as much as 70%. But if there's not 100% switch over and change and regeneration, well, maybe you need to take a little bit more. This is where you go from wellness to the rejuvenation program, and you'll see that the remaining 30% really start to see the benefits. So there's more energy. You know, the first month, we see 50% of the people experience that. Healthier skin tone. Within 90 days, everyone, you know, it's almost 100% across the board. You're seeing the regeneration happen, and it's so visible within the features of the skin. So you're looking at the face and the integrity of your hands and the skin surfaces. Pain and inflammation takes about, you know, at least a month for half the participants, and the other 50%, you know, they'll experience it, you know, down the road within 60 to 90 days. So muscle development and recovery. Both Dr. Tina and I were, in our younger day, we were athletes, and we just loved the benefits of taking Telo Youth and our ability to just develop muscle again and to recover so much faster from exercise and any type of, you know, heavy physical activity. And again, you within 90 days, you know, everyone will notice this incredible benefits and changes. Digestion, elimination, memory, focus, dramatic after, you know, 2 to 3 months. So we're just speaking from experience and just want you to understand that this is something that everyone can benefit from. Dr. Tina.
Yes, so let me help you understand this. Where do we get these statistics from? We have over 3,000 people over the last 3 years that have been taking the formula. And that's where these statistics come from. So it's very, very accurate as far as, you know, understanding. For instance, let's just go down to memory and focus. 80% of people feel a difference. They sense a difference in their memory and focus after 90 days. The remaining 20% that don't feel anything after those 90 days, we have them move into the rejuvenation program, where they take more, anywhere from 6 to 8 of the Telo Youth in the morning to 6 to 8 at night. So when you look at all of these different areas, if somebody really wants to have more energy, within that first month, 50% of those 3,000 people were experiencing more energy. Within 3 months, 80%, it jumped up to 80%. And that remaining 20%, if they weren't feeling more energy, we had them do the rejuvenation program so that they could experience more energy. Again, everyone is different. So we don't know where you or someone you know is going to fall within these statistics. But just know there's options to do, you know, increase or over a little more time, you will experience it. You can't help but not experience it, because by the time we start to age and we saw those stem cells that were available decline, the activation factor declined. They go hand in hand. We reintroduce our ingredients, specifically the fertilized tissue extract from Norway, back into the body. We were deficient. So now we have to regenerate, because that is the instructions to tell our stem cells to go back and rebuild, to go back and rejuvenate. That's why we can say we can truly rejuvenate. And we have the technology to provide that. It's like stem cell therapy in the bottle. So you have, I can't express this enough, and I don't know if you guys can feel my passion with this, but it is amazing. The other thing with our stem cells is that as we age, we have a stem cell pool, right? You saw that in the chart. By the time we're 80, 1 in every 2 million adult cells is a stem cell. And what happens is when we stop activating them, that's when they'll start to decline. But we reintroduce this activation factor with the FTE. And when we activate our stem cells, another one replicates and goes back into the stem cell pool. And that's where we start to see the longevity. Our pool continues to grow and expand as we continue to activate the stem cells. That's why we can say you can live to 120 in a very healthy, active life. Dr. Chris, do you have anything to add?
Just to share that from our, experience in our practices and working with so many doctors in the field of anti-aging, this is a formula that is so just inexpensive, but so effective compared to anything you would do out in the conventional field of stem cell therapy. You're talking about tens of thousands of dollars on a regular basis in order to just begin to get some of the benefits that we're showing you here today. So very important to understand what's available here with these ingredients.
And so what do we recommend? We have a self-health assessment, very important. You did see the before and after of our woman who did the rejuvenation program. And you cannot see on the outside all of that beautiful radiant health unless something is happening on the inside. It reflects on the outside. So we tell people, look at your self-health assessment. Where are you at in the beginning stages? And make sure you mark 1 to 10, 1 being very poor, 10 to being excellent, all of these different categories. And after the first 30 days, make sure you go back and review. The other part is do a before picture. Make sure that you take it during the same time, same lighting as you do, but do it every month. And then you will definitely see a difference in your overall skin, well-being as you start to move through these different months. But it's so important to track your health and your assessment because we forget. We totally forget that we weren't sleeping, or we totally forget